Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space. Something new happened in the oldest Anarchy Minecraft server in Aetheral Space. And we're going to find out what.
What happened?
I don't know, I'm just saying shit.
What, 2B2T, right? That's the name? We've all seen the documentary.
I just saw one of those videos out the corner of my eye as I began the intro.
I thought that hasn't been relevant in like a year. I remember that was the big thing for a while, as everyone kept talking about the oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft.
You're in a good religiously.
Mood. We should record early and more often. You're still like Tanhony 99%. This is good.
Yeah. But hello, we are back. We were going a bit earlier than usual, as you probably guessed from Darnell's statement.
Yeah.
So I've drained some of his energy.
Yeah. So for him, it's about 2 p.m., so this is like prime energy hours. But for me, it's about 8 a.m. before work, and I just woke up. So we're going to get this, we're going to knock out these Aetheral spaces. This is 5.29 Homecoming 10. Would you like to do the recap?
Of course. So last time, everyone is basically on their way to Corrin to get shit while it's gettable.
That's the big city, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
wait, what are they trying to get again?
The control of the city, basically.
No, they're trying to get to like a castle, right, or something.
No, there's the ship underneath the city as well. Yeah.
The ship, right? Okay, so they just want the whole city they're trying to hold. I thought there was like a specific place they were going to, like a place that would need to be sieged.
Well, the city would need to be sieged.
Okay. Never mind. Okay, let's do this. Lily seemed quieter than usual. Like she.
And also they've sort of encountered the good lady and sort of grabbed her as well. Our little motley band.
Gotcha. Lily seemed quieter than usual, like she'd been diminished in some way as she stepped over the crest of the hill. The moon hung high in the sky above, casting a pale blue light down to the planet. Fingers shaking slightly from the cold, Lily pointed towards the abandoned farmhouse that had just come into view. "We can stay there for the night," she said, voice grim, "and then keep moving at first light." Dragon hugged himself as he looked at the building. Night on this planet really was a freezing affair. I mean, it could be the time of season, Dragon. No need to generalize.
This planet sucks.
Guy who comes to Earth only during the winter. Wow, it's always so cold.
Wow, waterfalls from the sky 24/7. I hate this.
Got an alien who comes to England. Dragon hugged himself as he looked at the building. Oh, wait, sorry. It was times like this that he envied Ruth. As a pugnant, her internal heating meant that she didn't have to worry about things like this. She's got, like, a heated seat in her body. Like, what does that mean? Don't all mammals have internal heating?
Yeah, but they got much more, though.
Okay. Indeed, there wasn't even the slightest sign of a burning blood. I gotcha. Indeed, there wasn't even the slightest sign of a shiver on her body as she stood tall, eyes flicking around to inspect their surroundings. A few seconds after the visual inspection, Dragon felt an additional shudder as Ruth's aether ping coursed throughout the area. A few seconds after that, she visibly relaxed. "Nobody's coming after us," she declared, allowing her skeletal set to dissipate back into aether. "You guys are cold, right? We can start a fire in there." Dragon raised an eyebrow. Something had definitely changed with her. She was taking charge confidently, whereas before he would have seen her letting someone else take charge. Well, he didn't have time to speculate about it. There were other things to worry about, after all. He glanced down at the nervous young girl accompanying them. Lily had called her the good lady. From what he understood, she was some kind of state or figurehead. Whatever the case, she was a valuable hostage. Nobody had actually said the word hostage. It had been all, "Come with us, and we'll get you back to Corrin." But the girl didn't seem stupid. From the look in her eyes behind that veil, she understood that she wasn't among friends. If nothing else, how can he see behind her eyes with the veil? What is the point?
It's like transparent. It's sort of transparent-ish.
I gotcha. So it's like, I think I know the kind of veil you're talking about. If nothing else, Lily's obvious hostility would have given that away.
You don't have my cognitive intelligence? I can simply peek between the atoms.
Using my Gemini sight.
I just made it. It gives me super eyes.
Hell, he didn't even have to look at her eyes. The kid was shaking like a leaf, only partially from the cold. "Sounds good, right?" he said down to her as kindly as he could. "If we can get a fire going, we can all get warmed up." She looked back up at him and silently nodded. While Lily was leading the group and Ruth was watching for enemies, it seemed that Dragon had been relegated to babysitting duty. "Let's go, okay?" he smiled. No doubt it looked as fake as it felt. "Don't want to get left behind." How old exactly is the good lady? I thought, based on early descriptions, she was like 16, but the way they're talking, she sounds like she's 8.
Like 11, 12?
Okay, so she's like right in the middle.
Mm.
"Okay," the good lady mumbled, nearly silent, allowing herself to be led in the direction of the farmhouse. The building had clearly seen better days. The wooden walls had rotted over time, and the glass from the windows had been smashed long ago. The back door they were approaching swayed limply on its hinges, and Ruth had to straight up tear it off to grant them access. After leading the good lady inside, Dragon paused at the threshold of the house, turning to look at the silent grasslands around them. There was nothing save the sound of wind running through the grass and the clicking of insects. Absolutely nothing. And yet... "Ruth?" he called out, still staring off into the distance. "Yeah?" Her voice from inside was slightly muffled. A second later, she poked her head out of one of the empty windows. Dragon narrowed his eyes. "You're absolutely sure we're not being followed?" She frowned, and a second later he felt the telltale shudder of yet another aether ping. "Absolutely sure. How come?" "It's just..." Dragon struggled to find the right words. "It just feels like we're being watched, I guess. Doesn't aether ping only work on people that have aether?"
Mm.
And, like, doesn't no one on this planet use aether aside from summoning their guardian entities, not to enhance their bodies?
Yeah, well, the guardian entity still leaves, like, aether.
I suppose so, but I feel like this is not exactly a best check in a planet that largely does not
Maybe read a line ahead.
Okay, fine. Her frown deepened. Well, my aether ping would only catch someone using aether. If it's a normal person without a guardian entity, I guess they could still sneak up on us. Oh. I can see you must have been so frustrated with me. You were just like,
another mistake from Tanhony.
Well, I didn't think it was this mistake from you. I was just trying to imply that Ruth was stupid, but she clearly knows that the limits of her ability. I can look around and check properly if you want, because I thought that was the twist you were going for. Is it's like, oh man, they snuck up on us because they're not an aether user. Slowly, Dragon shook his head. No, I don't think that's it. It's like there's someone staring at us from right here in front of me. That's what it feels like, but there's just empty space. Oh, is this the good lady's standout? He waved a hand in front of him to illustrate his point. Just be ready in case anything happens, okay? Ruth scanned the horizon one more time with her eyes before nodding. Right. And with that, Dragon reluctantly broke his gaze away from nothing and turned back to the dark entrance. He crossed the threshold and stepped inside. If he'd stayed for just a second longer, he might have heard the deep exhale of breath from the thing that had been watching him. Ba-ba-ba!
Abbey Road.
See that little secret author trick? This confirms that his paranoia was not paranoia, but that there is indeed.
That's a bit cheating, because Dragon's Protectors should not have that in there, but I don't care.
That's so good. No, next perspective should be like the creepy invisible thing staring at him, just breathing heavily.
The red shadow. It's Helga.
Alright, since you have a lot of energy, do you mind if I popcorn it to you a little early?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome.
Dragon was starting to feel like something of an expert on kidnapping by this point. He'd been on both sides of it now, of course, giving him a wide range of experience to draw upon. You didn't suppose any of that would be a comfort to the girl they were escorting, though.
He's like, I'm kind of a kidnapping aficionado. Let me tell you how this thing works.
Hey, so I've been around. I've done this rodeo before, kid. Listen to me, I'll give you some tips. The wooden dining table and chairs had long since ceased to be suitable for human use, so instead they were all sat around the fire they'd started in the middle of what had once been the kitchen. Dragon held his palms out and sighed appreciatively as he felt the heat of the flames radiate over him. "Oh, that's nice," he said, taking a crunchy bite out of one of the green ration sticks Lily had brought with them. He wasn't quite sure what they were made from, some kind of plant probably, but his stomach appreciated the sustenance all the same. He glanced at the good lady, who'd positioned herself right in the corner of the room, ration stick clutched tight in her tiny hands. A quiet sound of sniffling was audible from behind her veil. Dragon groaned inwardly. Why did he have to go and start feeling bad about things? Skipper and this lot had clearly infected with some of their damn sentimentality. He offered the girl a weak smile. "So, what's your name? I'm Dragon." Anything that seemed to make things worse. The good lady immediately dropped the ration stick to the ground and said, slapping her hands over her mouth in what was clearly a scandalised expression. Even Lily winced. He glanced towards her, sucking in air through his teeth. Guessing I shouldn't have asked that? Lily shook her head. The good lady's the good lady. Apparently the rule only uses the actual name of their closest family, and even then it's frowned upon. Silently the good lady nodded, moving her hands away from her mouth. It would be a little improper. Sorry. I'm really sorry. Ruth said...
Damn, I can't believe this is anime.
Ruth said as she chewed what remained of her own ration stick. It's kind of like the Supreme then, right? Dragon nodded. It's illegal to call the Supreme by their name until after they're dead. They throw you in prison for it. Or worse. Usually worse.
What the fuck? What is with these names? Why? Oh my god. Is it so you can leave the secret surprise? Like, they finally kill the Supreme, they're like, goodbye, Jason Hadrian. He didn't know it was his dad because his name was illegal.
Damn it. I didn't know.
Jason Hadrian.
Jason.
It just looks exactly like Dragon, but with a goatee he never knew.
A quiet noise sounded out through the room. It took Dragon a second to realise that the good lady clearing her throat for attention. It seemed her voice really surpassed the volume of a mouse. She looked at him. Can I ask you a question? He shrugged. It wasn't like he'd make another faux pas she was asking him something. Go for it. Are you really a space alien? She asked, and then, deciding it needed more explanation, continued. Only I heard Prestigard talking about you, and he said you people were. I don't think I was meant to hear that, but I did, so I kind of wanted to know for sure if that's okay. Dragon hadn't really heard used as a sentence all by itself before, but there was a first time for everything. He tapped his hand on his head, on the spot where an inhabitant of this planet would have their antlers sprout out. What does it look like to you? He said, abandoning that fake friendliness. Me and Ruth clearly aren't like you people. Whether you believe we're from out there is up to you.
Wait, where are Serena and Bruno?
They went with the rebels.
Oh, yeah. And Skipper's with them too, right?
Skipper is MIA, we don't know.
Oh.
That snarky demeanour didn't seem to deter the good lady at all, however. Wow, she whispered, and as she blinked behind her veil, Dragon could see the unmistakable glimmer of awe in her eyes. Maybe you could work with this. Cool, right? He smiled, leaning back. Only me and my space alien friends need help getting back into space. There's a big starship under your house. Think you could let us in? She frowned. I don't know anything about that. There wasn't a line. If it was, she was so damn good there wasn't much point in watching out for deception. Well, he sighed, I guess you'll see it when we get there. You can look forward to it, I guess. She silently nodded. Did you think he'd get pissed off if she didn't? You couldn't exactly blame a kidnapping victim for going along with what Captain said, but still. He was sure he'd showed a little more back when it was his turn.
Yeah, okay, Dragon.
Or maybe not.
Okay,
Memories
buddy.
are flapping on the
Remember
floor.
that time when you like fell for
tonight?
your captors and saved their lives when you could have gone home and had everything you ever wanted? Yeah, you totally didn't just go along with your
But
kid.
the next line, yeah.
I still... Why do I keep doing that? I still, like, I'd love to imagine that at this point Dragon's still just experiencing a very, like, high case of, like, Stockholm Syndrome, and he doesn't actually like anybody on his team.
For the first time in a while, Ruth spoke up. I've been thinking about that, actually. We're going to use that starship to get us off the planet, right? That's the plan? Right, Dragon nodded. She shifted uncomfortably. Won't that, destroy the fuck out of the city? It'll smash through everything above it when it takes off, right? Like a bullet out of a punch-point gun. I don't know if I put it like that, Dragon said, sitting back up. But yeah, there'll definitely be some areas that damage the area above it. It depends how big the starship actually is, really. There's a good chance it's only big enough to destroy the regular headquarters when it takes off. I don't think I'd lose much sleep over that. Even then, though, Ruth protested, stones and stuff will rain down the city when the building blows up. There'll be destruction. Seemed the new and improved Ruth wouldn't let them get away with such feeble answers anymore. Over in the corner, the good lady looked between the two of their faces, obviously worried. You're going to blow up the city? She whispered, horrified. No.
No.
Dragon insisted, powerless under the pair of judging gazes.
Oh, and now Dragon has become the skipper. I would never blow up the city. Come on. Does that sound like me?
If it turns out that's the way things are, we'll just come up with a different plan. We can come up with the best plan if we know all the cards in our hand, though. We need to know more about the starship before we can factor it in and try to defend, okay? Ruth nodded. Okay, well, we're not doing anything reckless. Really? Dragon smirked, you're telling me that? Ruth grinned in response. Yeah, really, I am. Fair enough, he shrugged.
They're going to spend years digging a tunnel out of the spaceship. Meanwhile, settling down on the planet, and by the time they're done, they won't want to leave anymore. Smile. That's the end of Aetheral space.
As Dragon made a movement, however, he noticed something that he really should have much earlier. There were now 3 people gathered in this room, not 4. He clicked his tongue. That girl really could move quietly. Where's Lily? He sighed. And popcorn.
Alright, so either Lily got instantly gibbed by the stand, or she's having, like, an emotional moment.
Vanilla Ice.
Yeah. Whose arms are these, good lady?
Dragon, Ruth, look out!
Whose antlers are these? Oh. It had been an idiotic notion, Lily supposed, that some trace would have remained of the events that had happened all those years ago. Some bloodstain, maybe, or a patch where grass no longer grew. Ultimately, the world didn't care about people dying. It would keep turning with or without them. Still, even without any indicators, she was able to identify the exact spot without a problem. Slowly, with shaking hands, she squatted down and brushed her fingers against the dry, merciless soil. She idly wondered what had happened to the cows. Had the regulators claimed them for the state when they'd cleared up the scene, or had they simply killed them all for convenience's sake? Perhaps they hadn't done anything at all, and the cows had simply wandered off into the wilderness. "Stater for your thoughts?" came a voice from behind her. Lily turned to look. Standing there was Ruth, hands on her hips as she scanned the horizon. It was like Dragon had said, even in this freezing cold, she didn't seem the least bit affected. "What for my thoughts?" Lily frowned. "Sorry," Ruth shook her head. "What's on your mind? You've seemed kind of distant ever since we got here." For a moment, Lily considered saying nothing, her hand still cradling the empty dirt, but she found that her mouth spoke all the same. "I used to live here," she said quietly. "This was my house." Ruth sniffed. "Gotcha. Guessing there isn't a happy story there then, huh?" Lily shook her head. "The regulators killed my parents while they were away. Then they killed my brother right here. Then I ran away. I'm sorry. Nothing to do with you, so don't apologize," Lily sighed. "They came after us because of my brother. He'd found some old book in Corin. It taught him how to do that thing you and Dragon do. That, I guess I do now, too. Aether." "Just for that?" "Just for that. I guess if people knew how the Guardian entities worked, they'd know they weren't what the regulators said they were. They wouldn't be servants of the gods, and having control of them wouldn't mean anything anymore. That's how important maintaining the lie was to them." "I see." Ruth crossed her arms. "So what are you going to do when you win, then?" Lily chuckled. "When I win? Isn't that a little optimistic?" Ruth shrugged. "You gotta assume you're going to win. If you don't, you're assuming the opposite, whether you realize it or not. I like new confident Ruth." Smile. Feels like you've gotten more confident or something. I swear I'm not doing this on purpose. I don't know how I keep, like, the next line is the comment I'm making. Lily raised an eyebrow. "Something happened while you were doing your own thing?" Ruth sat down next to her, hugging her knees close to her chest as she continued to keep watch. Even in this situation, Lily could tell that the older girl was ready to respond to any attack at a moment's notice. She took in a deep breath of air. "I guess I made a choice. Turns out your group aren't the only rebels around. I got picked up by some guys called the Grinhi." Lily furrowed her brow. "Grinhi? You mean the forest folk?" "If you say so. They wanted me to help them out. It'd take down the regulators, which is the right thing to do. But if I did that, I'd have lost people important to me. I decided it wasn't worth it. It's like I understand my own priorities now. Does that make sense?" "Not really," Ruth smirked. "I guess we're different people after all. My point is, if you want something to happen, you have to make it happen in a way you can be proud of. Otherwise, you won't be able to accept the results. That's what I think Skipper believes, too. I don't want to regret anything when it's all over, I guess. That's it. You get me?" For a long time, Lily stared off into the night, into the endless dark that seemed to surround them. She pictured a version of herself that had won all this, but it was a version of herself that had abandoned every reason she'd originally wanted to win. It didn't seem like a good life, nor one that lasted very long afterwards. Ruth stood up, brushing the dirt from her pants. I'm betting it's pretty cold out here. I think I'm gonna head in. How about you? For a moment, Lily hesitated. Then she stood up and turned away from that old spot on the ground. Yeah, I think I'll head inside too. Oh, that's the... Nice. Alright,
Nice.
and that's the end of chapter 29.
Yeah,
That was, that was a pretty good one. You should play, when you're reading this on your own on Royal Road, you should
play the entirety of Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, I was going to say look up the song Homecoming by Green Day, but that works too.
It's the whole movie. Read it very slowly. You can't stop reading until the movie's over. I won't allow it.
Well, thank you guys for watching some Aetheral Space. You know the drill. Go read, go leave the review. Blah, blah, blah. Something, something. This book is coming out eventually. Blah, blah, blah. You know.
Okay.
They know, right?
Yeah, they know.
They know. Okay, bye!
Bye!